Hi everyone, Mrs. Spatola here with the answers to page 64 homework questions. Please pause the video and check, and I will just bring it down for you so that you can see the remainder. Okay, there are the remaining answers. Now notice on problem number 12 was something called box division. It's a different strategy. It's just something optional. Not sure if you've ever seen it. If you'd like more clarification or you're interested in learning how to do it, you can easily just ask me in class. Today's lesson is going to be dividing decimals by a decimal. And how can you divide a decimal by a decimal? Well, before we get started into the lesson, let's take a look at the do now. These are questions which you will see soon either on your quiz or your unit test or even both. Let's look at number 1. Number 1 says, place the decimal point in the product. So for letter A, it has 3 75/100ths times 4 9/10. All they want you to do is to determine how many places you have to count in your product to place the decimal. So let's take a look at letter A. In letter A, there are 1, 2, 3 places to the right of the decimal in the factors. Remember that factors are numbers that you multiply together. So if there's 3 places to the right in our product, what we do is we start all the way at the right and we count back the opposite way. 1, 2, 3. So that would make our final answer 18 375/1000. If you put that in your calculator, that would be the answer. And if you were to estimate each of the numbers, you would see that 3 75/100ths does round to about 4, and 4 9/10 rounds to about 5. So you know that your answer is going to be close to 20. This answer here would definitely be reasonable. If you got 183, then you know your answer is not reasonable and that your decimal point would definitely be in the wrong area. Let's take a look at letter B. Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 places to the right of the decimal. So that means that in our product, which is the answer to a multiplication problem, we're going to go all the way to the right of the number, starting here, and now count back to the left. So we count back 5 spaces. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So that would make our final answer 1 3, 2, 7, 7, 9. Wow, how would we say that? We would say that as 1 32,779 hundred-thousandths. And if we estimate, we can check our answer in the following way. 5 773,000ths rounds to about 6 times 0 23/100ths, which is almost 0. So if we were rounding for this, our answer needs to be around 0. However, 1 32,779 hundred-thousandths is pretty close to 1. If I got a number such as 13, then I know for sure that my decimal is definitely in the wrong spot. Problem number 2 reads, which number in the following problem is the dividend? Well, the dividend, we will see, is the number that is actually being broken up. So in a division problem, it's the first number. On page 62, there is a chart that labels all the parts of a division problem. So the dividend in question number 2 would be 8 32 hundredths. All right, now on to division steps. One of the first things we need to recognize with dividing decimals by decimals is that there are no decimals, there is no decimal in the divisor. So if you have a division problem where you start off and you notice that there is actually a decimal in the divisor, the first thing you need to do is get rid of it. So the way you would do that is move the decimal one place over to the right. There's one place, so we're going to move it to the right. So whatever I do to the outside of the division box, I have to do to the inside of the division box. So basically what I'm doing is I'm moving my decimal in the divisor over one place because I'm making it into a whole number. So basically watch what's happening. We're moving it this way, one place. So whatever I move the decimal on the outside, on the inside, I must move it the same number of places. Remember, math is all about being fair and even. Whatever you do to one side, you do to the other. You've probably heard of this one also. Whatever you do to the top, you have to do to the bottom, and so on. So in this case here, let's continue and look down at this one here. Now we notice that we have a decimal here on the outside. Well, we really don't need that, but is it wrong if you leave it there? No. But our decimal now is in the correct place in the dividend. And that just leads us to this, 5 divided into 68 and 5/10. And remember, the first thing you would do is bring up your decimal. And that's how you set it up. Let's go down. We can also take a quick look at the steps and go through them one by one. When we're looking at the steps for dividing with decimals, the first thing you want to do is check to see if there is a decimal in the divisor. If the answer is yes, we're going to move the decimal in the divisor, that's the number on the outside, to the right until it becomes a whole number. Then we move the decimal in the dividend on the inside the same number of places to the right as in number 2, step number 2. This is an important step. You definitely need to make sure you rewrite that problem because a lot of times what happens is when boys and girls don't rewrite the problem, they tend to make mistakes with their decimal placement. So please get in the habit from the beginning to rewrite the problem. When we divide, we bring up our decimal and then we go into regular division. By the way, if the answer to number 1 at the very, very top, let's just go back for 1 second. Check to see if there's a decimal in the divisor. If the answer is no, we just divide as usual. So we would just divide as usual. Please make sure you're taking notes. We take a look at problem number 1. We notice that there is no decimal in the divisor. So what I'm going to do is have you pause the video, set it up, divide, and check. So do that now. And there's your answer, 12 3/10. Now on to problem number 2. For this one here, I do see that there is a decimal in the divisor. So let's pause the video and set it up. So the first thing you notice, there's a decimal in the divisor here. So the rule for dividing with decimals is there cannot be a decimal in the divisor. So what we're going to do is we're going to move it one place to the right in order to make it a whole number. So whatever we do to the outside of the division box, we do to the inside of the division box. And now we're simply going to rewrite it. 3 divided into 369. And you can pause the video and complete that one. And the answer to that is 123. Now let's take a look at problem number 3. Number 3 is set up as follows. 8 82 hundredths divided by 2 1/10. So let's go ahead and write that out. Once you set it up, you'll notice that there is a decimal in the divisor. So we definitely have to get rid of that. So in order to make this a whole number, I see my decimal is right here. I'm going to move it how many places? Correct. One place over to the right. So if I do one place to the right on the outside, what am I doing on the inside? Correct. One place over here. So now I'm going to simply rewrite it. So now it becomes 21 divided into 800. Actually, it's 88 2/10. I bring up my decimal and I can divide. So please pause the video and complete it on your own. Also, remember that you should also be checking your work with your calculator. And there's your answer to number 3. Now pause the video, try problems 4, and there you have problem number 4. Now look at problem number 5. Let's set that one up. It's 0 and 8/100ths divided into 5 and 4/10ths. This one's a little trickier. Now on the outside, your divisor has 2 places in the decimal. So watch how number 5 happens. We're going to move the decimal over 2 places to the right. Now, in the dividend, notice there's only 1 place there. So if I move it 1 place, it doesn't look like there's any place else I can go. But I have to move it 2 places. So any idea what we could do? Yep, we're going to have to annex a 0, put my decimal here, and put a 0 here. Okay, now go ahead and rewrite. So now we have 8 divided into 540. Now complete that one on your own. And your answer for number 5 is 67 and 5/10ths. Notice you had to put a decimal here and annex a 0. So don't forget, if you run out of room, we don't just put the remainder. We continue on at least a few places to ensure that we're going as far as we can to get the complete answer. Now let's try number 6, 7, 8, and 9 on your own. Please notice that number 7 is also 2 places in the divisor. Try them on your own. Go. Pause the video. And there you have the rest of the answers to the rest of the page. Now let's turn over to the next page. Your homework is going to be on page 67. Just a few things that you need to be aware of. Just jot these notes down, and this will also be a good way for me to see if you are following the video. Alrighty, so for problem solving at the top, just copy this down. The keys for problem solving, first of all, you want to determine what is the question. So you always look at the question to help you determine how to answer it, right? You have to know what the question is in order to answer the question. Number 2, you're going to look for key words to figure out the operation. Is my question asking for something to get bigger or smaller? And lastly, what are the key numbers that I need in that word problem? Do I need them all? Do I need some of them? Really think about the question, and that will help you guide your answer. Notice you will be doing numbers 10, 11, 12, and 13. And then as you continue, you're going to do the first row going across on page 67. Be sure that you show all work, and you can use your calculator to check. All right, remember, you should always be using your calculator to help you check your work. Good luck, and have a great day.